Welcome to Envisioned Broadcasting, the station designed to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success presents When They Hear Us, an author's movement, a show that provides authors a platform to share their voice with the world. When They Hear Us, with Dr. Tracy Hines Lashley, begins now.
And back when they hear us, we have an amazing show today. We are going to be talking to women who actually wrote the book, Asian Women Boss Up. And I will tell you, when I heard the name of this book, I knew I had to reach out to these ladies. There was no question about it at all. And me, of women and bossing up, yes, that is my thing, because I am the founder and the CEO of Bossed Up Leaders Incorporated. We are a 501c3 corporation. So, of course, I'm going to reach out to some women who bossing up. So what we do, we have a 2-part series. Today, we will be talking to 9 of the ladies, and we have, I believe, 10 the following week. So they're going to introduce themselves to you. So we'll start with Jahan.
Hi, my name is Jahan, and I'm the CEO of ClosetSignature.com. And I also offer sound meditation baths with my 7 crystal singing bowls. And through this book launch, I've also taken on a part-time job in educating financial literacy, because that's something that should really be taught in school. And so I'm so super excited to be a part of this group of amazing Asian women that get to boss up and share our stories together. And thank you so much, Tracy, for having us on.
You're welcome. Okay, Vivian.
Hi, everyone. My name is Vivian Esti Guzman. I am the #1 money magnet activator, and my clients call me Human MRI. So I combine the business acumen that I can see through my third eye, lasering into what is it that perhaps you're not able to see with your own eyes because you're so close to yourself and your business, so that you can actually manifest a 6, 7-figure or 8-figure income and more with ease, grace, and flow. And I was talking about aligning your purpose with source so that there is no or less resistance with your own soul purpose, so that you can actually magnetize that money with ease.
Hi, everyone. I'm so grateful to be here. My name is Kathy Tran. I'm out here in sunny Southern California. I'm a single mother, author, as well as a business owner. I'm the CEO of Recruiter Hustle Incorporated. And in addition, I am a recovered addict, alcoholic in long-term recovery. And I specialize in abundance mindset coaching, specifically in the areas of health, wealth, and happiness. And I am so excited to help women boss up and live a life beyond their wildest dreams.
Hey everyone, my name is Sheena Chan. I'm from Toronto, Canada. So I'm like in snow right now, so the total opposite of Kathy. And I help Asian women break out of their shell so they can live an authentic life and thrive. So I'm a keynote speaker, coach, author, and podcaster on building self-confidence. I also have my own podcast called The Tao of Self-Confidence, where I do interview Asian women about their journey to self-confidence. And this to me was very personal because we don't see a lot of support systems that help Asian women with confidence issues. And for me, representation is big, because growing up, I never had that. All I ever saw was, white women on TV. And so because of that, I always wanted to be a white woman named Heather with blonde hair and blue eyes. So it's like a personal mission for me to elevate women's voices, especially Asian women, because it's 2021 and we just deserve the visibility now more than ever, especially if you want to create that change and build up more women leaders. Now's the time to do it. So that's a little bit about me.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Dr. Tracy, for having us here. I am Sabrina Rumback, a heart-lung surgery PA with more than 10 years experience in public health and neuroscience. I was someone just like all your typical Asian women who just know how to get things done. And so after 2 bachelor, 2 master degrees, I got into one of the best heart and lung surgery center in the world where people fly in to see us. And to the point, I was so exhausted, burning out. And then I realized no matter how many degrees experience you have, that's not life. That's just what people thought we should be living. So I went back to my root in neuroscience and public health, came up with 6-step system to help other powerful ambition ladies out there, professionals, to save at least 8 hours off your work and increase your productivity by 30%. So you can do the things you love to do, not just your obligations, and truly live without overwhelmed, underappreciation, or unfulfillment. So that's my book chapter on how my journey from moving all across the world from China and getting to this point now that I'm an international keynote speaker and a consultant and still be able to practice clinical in medicine. Thank you.
Hi, everyone, and thank you, Tracy, for having us here. My name is Amy Lin, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Opulent Academy. I work with entrepreneurs and small business owners and helping them creating a quantum leap in their both business life and their professional life so they can live an opulent life. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tracy. My name is Annie Haddock, and I am a children virtual education expert and an author and a speaker. I have been living in Canada for 40 years, moved from Hong Kong, and I actually teach children, young children, mental math and based on a very ancient Chinese abacus tool. I combine the ancient tool with technology and help children to become eager and engaged learners. And that's what I do. Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Tracy. Hi, thank you for having me. So honored to be here. My name is Lucy Liu. I am a business and life coach. I am from Los Angeles, and I help high achieving women in life transitions with confidence, clarity, joy, so they can live life fulfilled and become influential leaders. I also have my own podcast called The Lucy Liu Show, which is a weekly fueling station for your mind, business, and life. And I'm all about women's empowerment as well. So I'm very excited to be here.
Okay, Anita, I don't know if your mic is...
Yeah, my mic wasn't turning on. Sorry about that. Hello. I am Anita Chan. I am the owner of Anita B Spa in San Francisco. And through my 20 plus years in the beauty and wellness industry, I am an advocate of self-love and mental wellness through self-care practices. So I am first generation Asian American, and throughout my entire childhood really struggled with, beauty standards of the Eastern culture and the Western culture. So I am all about empowering women and men now to feeling beautiful from the inside and just being comfortable in their own skin. And then just really having women and Asian women representation. So that's what I'm very passionate about. I'm very grateful to have all of you ladies to work with. Thank you, Dr. Tracy.
Okay. I want to point on something that I believe Sheena said, that she wanted to be white. And it is very interesting because I've heard of Black women saying they want to be white, but I never known that Asian women would say that. So what would make you want to be someone else? Was it because of the ease of what we thought they had, or?
Well, I think it's just because it's all I ever saw on TV, right? I never saw anybody that looked like me. And so I figured, and especially living in the Philippines, they were so into American culture that, it's like we just looked up to them because they were like these beautiful beings, not realizing that we were beautiful just who we are. And so moving to Canada, like that's all I ever saw on TV. That's all I ever saw on billboards and magazines. And I never saw anybody that looked like me. And so I was like, maybe if I have blonde hair and blue eyes and have, white skin, I could be as beautiful as, whoever Heather was at the time. And yeah, like it's so funny because every time I share that story, they're like, my white girl name was Karen. My white girl name was Kathy. So honestly, there's a lot of women who go through that. And back then, like representation was like nothing, right? And even if they did have Asian characters in Hollywood, it was played by white people. So it's like, it was really hard for us to look up to someone that looked like us and realize we were beautiful.
Wow. Well, I am here to tell you, you guys are beautiful. I am looking at the screen right now like, wow. And I don't understand. Well, actually, I do, because I remember my mother telling me, and she's going to kill me if she hears this, that she wanted to be a white girl because they had the long flowing hair and they got all the attention and she was treated differently. And I'm like, really, Mom? So as I got older, I'm like, wow, it seemed like they had an easier life. And you're right. That's all we saw on television, in the magazines. And I'm like, even with you guys, when you're saying that, white women played Asian women, they did the same to us. They would play our parts. I'm like, why is this woman playing our part? It shouldn't be them. So have any of you ever experienced the same situation, same thought?
Yes, Dr. Tracy, this is Vivian. And when I was in the Philippines, we always watched white movies and everything on TV was related to them. So it's almost like putting someone on a pedestal and then hoping and wishing you were one of them. So Philippines is still like heavily influenced by Americans, literally. Most of the TV shows that we watched and the movies, that's how we grew up. And it's almost like a role model that we put up there saying, okay, I want to be like that person one of these days. I mean, why did we go to America? Because that was what we learned is it is the land of milk and honey. And so if you go to America, you're going to have a better life. And there's some truth to that, literally, when we moved here. So that there's a lot of brain drain happening in our country. Like a lot of the smart people, a lot of the Asians that are really smart literally went to America. And so as soon as we came here, the opportunities are definitely bigger, right? Bigger and better, so to speak. And at the same time, some people, we want to give back to where we came from. Some people, we built a life here on our own with our new families. But that's just like our I guess that's how we grew up with.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Vivian. I moved here actually by myself. My mom got here and she thought she in her mid-20s. She thought my personality is way too out there. I'm way too type A. So in China, where you're supposed to be following the rules, the disciplinary set of what the classroom, your teacher, and the society put to you. So for me, who always like to step outside the boundary, who always like to question what we are doing and why are we doing, and that's just part of my personality type. And for anybody who read Rubens for 10 days, that is who I am. I'm really good about keeping myself on track, but externally, I'm always asking questions. So she thought, hey, come to the US, who actually love for people who have a bit of diversity, who can do athlete, music, and be having the science brain. Instead, in China, you better just test for A, and then A minus is, for us, is a failure, right? And it's so typical in that world. So in a sense, we can be a little bit more expressive in this culture.
Wow.
I'd like to answer that question too, Dr. Tracy. This is Kathy Tran. I went into recovery at a really young age, right after college, and when I was 22 years old. And one of the things that we learned especially in recovery, was self-acceptance. And acceptance for me has been, for the past 18 years, just constantly having to accept, my life and the journey that I've been on. Every hiccup that I've had, every obstacle that I've had to overcome. And we, like when I first stepped into a 12-step program, I was like, oh, I'm not like them. I don't look like them. I'm not a hardly riding, smoker, but because I look different, I had long hair, I'm Asian, but self-acceptance has been a part of my language for a very, very long time. And, I truly today, like for myself, I'm a very proud American. I'm a proud Asian American, and I've answered my life's calling just to help others discover their passion and create a joyful life that they love, especially through self-care practices that I've learned on recovery. So for myself, like I have a little bit of a different spin from that, but me being Asian has helped a lot of people, a lot of other young Asian American women and men, just to really accept themselves. So that's my view of being Asian.
I would like to answer the question too. I actually was born in the early 60s in Hong Kong. So it was a British colony. So it's a very multicultural society, because lots of the, even from Europe and American, they have companies in Hong Kong. And at that time, there weren't that many middle class. I was actually raised in a family of with 9 children. So education was very important. I just so remembered my mom told me, and when I was maybe 6 and 7, she said, watch this lady in an air-conditioned office, working. You have to, get higher education in order to get into that. That's what put me into education was so important in that society of lots of the big corporations. They are run by the Western company, right? American or British. So that's what we see them. It's almost there's a different class, right? Of society. And I was just get injected with that idea of that education. It was important to get us ahead, because my parents were not given that opportunity to get education. They were immigrants, free refugee, left China when it became communist, right? So education was that's my whole life is about getting higher education. Thank you.
I just wanted to share my recent experience, as you ladies might or might not know, that they're doing a reboot of Sex and the City, and Samantha is not going to be in it. So there's been talk of what they're going to do to fill her position. And somebody mentioned, oh, maybe they're going to diversify it. And I didn't even realize, when I was loving Sex and the City so much, that it is a cast of all white women and wealthy women. And it's so ingrained in us being born here in America. It just was so normal to me that I didn't realize that was a thing. So in my industry, in the beauty industry, even in Asia, you'll always see brightening and lightening products. And the aim and the beauty standard has always been the blonde hair, blue eye, light skin. So that's why for me, I'm just so passionate about all shades of skin is beautiful. For me, it was chasing that Asian beauty, but I'm a California girl. So we love that golden skin. So it was where's my identity? What is the right, standard to go after? So I just wanted to share with Sex and the City. I was like, oh my God, I didn't even realize that they never diversified it. So that was interesting.
That is an interesting point, Anita. This is Lucy Liu. And that made me think of when Charlie's Angels came out. And I was like, oh my God, Lucy Liu, right? There was different Asian representation, but that also became my problem because another Lucy Liu became so famous. Lucy Liu is now a celebrity. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be nobody. I'm just going to be nobody because there cannot be another Beyonce, right? There's already Beyonce. It's impossible to have another Beyonce. So this is actually something I talked about in my book chapter. We all have limiting beliefs. like my name used to bother me so much. I grew up thinking, you know what, I might as well just retire. I might as well just stop chasing because I'll never be anyone. And even until this day, I never felt like I wanted to be a white female, but yet I always, till this day, feel my English isn't good enough because I'm the child of an immigrant, because I'm not truly American, even though I hold a U.S. passport, even though I went to a prestigious university, I had good grades, and when I say that my English isn't good enough, people think I'm crazy. They're like, "You're crazy. What are you talking about?" Right? And that's exactly what limiting beliefs are. We all have these self-negative talks, and all of us are saying something like, blah, blah, blah. I'm not, blank enough. And I think that's across all cultures. And that's something we're here, those glass ceilings, we're here with this book is to shatter those glass ceilings.
I'd like to touch on the name aspect because I know Sheena brought up like, oh, this is my white girl named Heather, and then Lucy Liu, you said that there's another Lucy Liu, and so for me personally, like I have a Korean name, which is Chuhyun, and I'm assuming most Asian people do have their Asian name, and then our American name. I was actually born Jane, and then my mom wanted to restart, and she changed my name when I was going into 6th grade, when I was 12 years old, to Jessica. And then in class, in 7th grade, there were 6 Jessicas. And I was like, Mom, like, way to be original, And so I really had this struggle with my name. I'm like, why couldn't I just be Juhyun, my Korean name? Why did I have to have this American name because someone couldn't pronounce it? Like, I can teach someone to pronounce it. And so now I go by Jae Han because I have so many J names. And so people get confused, like, what do you want to be called? And so now I know, I'm like, I have the choice. I choose to be called Jae Han. And so, yeah, I wanted to touch on the name.
Oh my gosh. Go ahead, Amy. I think you haven't shared something.
Yeah,
comment on that name.
This is Amy. Yeah, I also wanted to comment on that, Jaehan, because I came from Taiwan and I didn't want to be one of the white ladies, but I just wanted to blend in. But I knew I looked different, right? And it doesn't matter how much I try to blend in, I just look different, right? But now I understand that it's not about blending in, rather it's to stand out, speak up, right? And stand in my truth. So it's totally different. And this is the paradigm that growing up in an Asian culture, wanting to blend in and not speak up, not stand up, to now speaking up and standing up. So yeah, so thanks for sharing that.
I was going to comment, Jahan, on that name thing, the energetics of it, just to share it with the audience. You know how we're born with a certain name, right? On our birth certificate. And then some of us, we get married and then we add another name. And I think in, I don't know if this is Chinese culture, that the last name of the spouse or the husband, do you guys take that on? Or I think some people, I heard that they don't. So anyway, if you can think of the visual of, how when you're born, you're riding a horse. So let's say you have a white horse because you have a signature or an energy to your name. And then when you add your husband's name, you actually change the frequency or the energetics of that. So I'm sure with Jahan that you have changed your name, or your mother has several times, that the experiences and the energies of that actually change. So instead of, and it's great that you took it by the rein and say, hey, wait a minute, I want my name to be this name, because now you're in charge of your life rather than everybody else telling you, well, no, your name is Ju, then Jessica, and then another J versus, okay, no, this is the name that I want to be known as. And I'm going to use this so that the frequency is the same, because sometimes the energy changes. Literally, they say about every 7 years. So every time you change, like I experienced that, right? When I got married and added the last name, I was like, something changed in my life. You couldn't quite explain it. It's like deep inside of you. And then you're like, something is not quite the same. But you're thinking, I'm the same person, right? but your frequency changes. And so for me, I actually went back when I went in business to go back to my original name, just like what it was in the birth certificate, rather than adding my husband's name on everything that's printed. And that literally changed me back to what my soul purpose and soul path would be normally. So I just want to share that little energy tidbit with the rest of the group.
Wow, you ladies are so amazing. I am just sitting here literally in almost tears because I never thought that another culture went through what we go through. I always thought it was just, I say Black, but African Americans. It's like, wow, I'm amazed. And I'm so glad even more now that I have you guys on this show and expressing yourself to the world, because people need to hear it. And diversity, inclusion, and equity is something real. And having, when we think Asian, I've always gone to the nail salons, the hair stores. And I used to talk to the ladies, and I never knew that you change your names to fit America. And I'm like, why would you do that? And now hearing your stories is like, wow, okay. And me, I will botch up a name real quick. So I would probably mess your name up. I guess making it easier for us to understand or to say was the reason. But it's like taking away your identity.
May I add in about the name? Just because I was born in Hong Kong and I went to a Catholic school, and it's from Canada. Actually, since kindergarten, we have to have an English name. And I almost should be called Emily instead of Annie. So it's one of my sister told me to go to school and just tell the teacher that your name is Emily. I guess the teacher must have heard Annie. So I became Annie. And then when I came to Canada and I got married, and I married a Caucasian. So his name is Hardog.
Wow.
Hardog. So I totally haven't used my birth name for the longest time. So I didn't even notice, my Chinese name. Yes, it was actually in my ID, like in the passport, the first time around. But then the second, when I renew it, I think I missed one of my identity card or whatever. So even my Chinese middle name that I tried to reserve in my passport, it's gone. So I just kept this identity. Even I have been divorced for probably 22 years or so. But I kept the last name because I wanted to be in the same last name as my son. I raised my son as a single parent since he was 4 years old. I just wanted others because he's mixed race. Like, I married a Caucasian. I just felt like people see, because he doesn't look totally Western or Chinese, so it's a mix. And so people thought that I'm a nanny. That's the worst thing that parents can feel, right?
Yes.
Yes. So I kept the same last name as my son. That's why.
Wow. I'm in shock that I'm like, wow, I just thought it was us. You ladies make me feel so great right now.
I mean, I feel like all of us somehow trying to change us to fit the mold of society. So then there's a debate of, should we stand out? Because when we change it, it's technically just like what Vivian said, we change our frequency to stand out in a different way. Mm-hmm. So when I came to the US, my mom also changed my name because my Chinese name is really difficult for the Americans to pronunciate because they start with the X. And especially in most of Americans, they don't even know what that X sounds like. And I always say it's SH sound in a way. And I kept it as my middle name when I became a citizen. So I also went by Sabrina. And because that name is also relatively unique, it's not too common. And when I got married, I know my last name is Chen. It's also one of the biggest family name in Asia. So I wanted to be in a unique position. So I also changed my last name to my ex-husband's name. And now I have an English first name, my Chinese middle name, and my ex-husband's last name. But in the position, I definitely understand what Vivian said. You change your vibration, because when I got married and even divorced, I realized I don't want to change my name back and forth. All my medical license, my personal brand, everything is now under Sabrina Rumback, and it's freaking unique. So I'm owning up to that uniqueness, because that last name in the whole US, there's only 4 of us who has that last name. So you know what? It doesn't matter for people who question, is like, where's that last name coming from? I'm just owning up to that's my new self.
Wow, Sabrina, you are a firecracker.
Dr. Tracy, I just want to point out one thing as you're listening in and you're so surprised at what we all go through. I think how powerful it is to the reason why we need to share our stories is because, with the BLM movement, with the Stop Asian Hate situation going on right now, we are all way more connected than we actually think. Every race, every culture, every gender. But the thing is, there's just not enough representation. I was also like Lucy, who was like, am I articulate enough? Does anybody care about my story? But I realized that how important it is to share our stories, because once we start talking, the education portion of it just can bridge us over the entire world, because we all have our own fears and struggles. It's just that we don't talk about it. And so we don't share, then the other person won't know. So that's partially our fault if we're not educating other people on this is what's going on. This is what our life was. This is our own experiences as well. So I love that your comments of, wow, I didn't know, because that just made me realize, oh my God, this is why these conversations are so important to have.
Yes, they are. And, and it wasn't just about the book. It was like, man, I want to hear their stories. That is why I named this radio show When They Hear Us. Because, okay, you can pick up a book and read it, but when you hear the person behind the story, it makes a difference. So I was like, I have to have them on here. So what I want to do now is I want you ladies to tell me the name of your chapter, what inspired you to write that chapter, and one juicy nugget that they'll find in your chapter. Let's start with Jahan.
I feel a little embarrassed right now. I'm blanking on the name of my chapter. And when my chapter is about it, it starts off as my mom's story, because she came to the US when she was 19 years old by herself from South Korea. And in order for her to make a living, she had to make an income. So she started selling Walkmans and radios in front of a Shell gas station in Compton, California. And I thought she was doing this by herself the whole time. And it was with my dad, who I've never met. And that's a whole nother story where I go and search for him. And also being an entrepreneur. Like I grew up in an entrepreneurial world, and being an entrepreneur to me means taking that risk, really taking that risk to have a service or a product to bring value and benefit to others and of service. And also through this time, like my mom we've had 13 clothing stores that we run, and then now we have one, and it has me go into different opportunities of offering sound meditation to connect people to their mind, body, and spirit, and then also teaching financial education. So everything I do is of service, and it falls under an umbrella of inner peace, because one of the main stressors is money, and then also being able to provide the sound meditation. So I'll be going into that in my story.
Wow. Thank you, Jahan, for sharing that. So my story was more, you heard my title, Number One Money Magnet Activator and Human MRI. But it's interesting because for me, my awakening was I basically had the warning signs of a stroke. They call that TIA, wherein the right side of my body just became numb and I was kind of cross-eyed when I woke up one morning. But that was my soul waking up and saying, wait, you're not quite aligned with your purpose. And that's the chapter that I wrote on this book, Asian Women Who Boss Up, is aligning your purpose with your source. Because you know how we have standards that we see in society and culture. And I'm like, I really feel like I'm a different human. I couldn't explain it. Like when I was growing up, I just tried to be like the number one, like in school, hoping that people won't bother me if, I'm doing my job as a student, right? But then when I grew up, when I finished school, I'm like, I really need to do something else. I thought I would be a detective, but I am a detective of the human body because of the human MRI. And I couldn't say, like I could see some weird ghosts or spirits and other planes and other dimensions. And it's kind of like freaking me out, right? So I didn't want to be, you've heard of a closet healer, right? I would do some healing. I would help people cure cancer. I would help people cure the stroke. Even I had that stroke for like 3 weeks and then I was done, right? That was my wake up call saying, you can't hide anymore. It's either you do what you're supposed to do in this life or you got to check out. And I didn't want to check out because I just had my fourth kid who was a preemie, my first C-section, right? And I'm like, okay, I guess I got to change my life, God. This is the time. I mean, there's no more turning back. And I had to come out. That was difficult for me. Saying I'm a human MRI, I was like in CEO space with like thousands of entrepreneurs. And I'm like, I think I'm a human MRI. You know how in the beginning when you come out of your closet, it's like, I think I'm a human MRI, but I can't explain to you. But I could. If I could just bring myself out and say, these are the things I can really do with this magic, I can really help heal anybody who gets in some form of a sickness. And the sickness could be just health, or they're not happy with their relationship, or they're not happy with their money flow. And so that took a while, right? It took me years to even come out and even to say, money magnet activator, because I could literally look at the human body, not just in 3D, but in 5D and tell them their story without them saying a word. But, you can't just do that in front of strangers, right? Especially if they didn't give you permission. So I had to learn all that. Like, you got to ask permission before you even open your mouth. Because in my human design, I have this freak genius channel. In other words, like whatever I see with my third eye, I could just like communicate it with my throat. But some people are not ready to hear their genius. Some people are not ready to hear, oh, you're meant to do something else, right? Like you're doing this kind of job, but literally that's not what you need to be doing. So I started noticing that the people connecting with me are the people who really want to change. So I always warn my clients or potential clients, if you don't want change, please don't come see me, because the change is so exponential. You've heard of quantum leaps, that you go from the first floor to the 12th floor, and then suddenly you're like, what happened to the people I know, the friends that I have? Because in order to actually attract money, you need to be willing to receive. And sometimes things have to change drastically for you to have that change, that transformation or shift that we're all talking about. Because, it's one thing to want it, but it's another thing to really live it. So when you go through that and it's like, whoa, what just happened? Like I rode a jet plane and I don't know where I'm at now. That's the feeling that people get when they work with me. So then they're like, maybe I'm not ready yet. Like they say they're ready, but they're not ready. And I'm okay with that. So the right people come, and I always say this to everyone, the right people come when they're ready. So I have to learn how to wait. That's been my biggest, my biggest challenge in life is like, I can take you here, but you got to want it, not just me wanting it for you. So there's that dance that's happening. So I'm very excited about this book, aligning your purpose with source. And that was my chapter, because once you let God lead you, so to speak, and your own purpose, right? Like, because every one of us here, even if we all look Asian, we all have a different job. And once you own that job, oh my God, it's so magical. It's almost like you have angel wings and you have several angels with you, and they'll just take you there if you're willing to do that and to receive. That's my spiel.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. Kathy Tran again. I believe my chapter was on ultimately being the resource center for pretty much any problem that we've had. Being someone in long-term recovery, I've taken inventory of my entire life, and really was able to take shame and guilt and really be able to transform that into power, and the power to help heal other people. I grew up primarily in sunny Southern California for the past 40 years, but I actually came here as a refugee immigrant. So I've got that story, and grew up in a blue collar home. Parents didn't speak English, just trying to fit in constantly. And ultimately, who I am today is, I'm truly a multi-potentialite. So being a multi-potentialite, I don't have just one calling in life. I'm a business owner. I'm a global speaker. I share my story on a very on a global platform, but on a very open platform. I've lived an extraordinary life, and I've hit my bottoms several times, emotionally, physically, and spiritually as well. And today I'm a walking testimony that whatever problem you've ever had, you can overcome it. You can really overcome, the pain and the guilt and the shame that a lot of us have walked through, but we don't talk about it. And so in my first book, I talked about my journey, and I shared a lot of the deep, dark secrets that a lot of Asians or even human beings don't even talk about, because it's extremely embarrassing, just losing jobs, marrying somebody that had mental illness. He went to prison, and, he came out of prison, and we had to walk through bipolar, manic depressions episodes. And, I became a single mom at the age of 30 after I had my child. So it's a lot of, deep, dark secrets, and being able to work that and really accepting like who I am today as a woman, as a mother, as a business owner, and truly being able to leverage that bit of my life to be able to boss up as our book speaks. And, I'm just really grateful. And truly it's my first book, as well as going into this book, it's all about an abundance mindset. And what that abundance mindset is, it's coming from a place of gratitude. So, there's 5 different areas. There's exponential growth, there's success, there's a mindset of, transformation, but we're always constantly transforming. We evolved. I've even evolved, 50 minutes ago when I hopped onto this call. We didn't know what this conversation was going to look like, but it's extremely beautiful. And to be able to share our experience, strength, and hope, with other people, to let them know, hey, you know what? We are women that have bossed up, but we've hit our bottom just like you. We're human. We put one foot in front of in front of the other. We put we wear our pants the same way that everybody else does, and just owning our life. And that's truly the essence of my chapter, ultimately being a resource center for any problem that we've had in life. So that's me in a nutshell. Thank you. I'll hand it over to Sheena.
Hey, everyone. And so for my chapter is actually like the closing chapter of the book, and it's really talking about why creating representation is important. And the main reason why we create representation is to help other women out there, especially Asian women and women of color, to see their worth, right? We grow up thinking we're not worthy, we don't deserve a seat at the table, but we all do. And it takes a belief system to build on that, right? It doesn't have to be 100%. You don't have to believe in yourself 100%, just a little bit to build up on that. And so I always, talk about representation, why it's huge. And if you really want it, it has to start with yourself, right? Because each and every one of us can create that difference no matter what happens. And learning to be okay with being messy, right? Because we all think we have to be this perfect person or the perfect wife or the perfect daughter or perfect sister. But really just showing up messy sometimes is great because it's something that's relatable and it's something that's doable for everyone. And I know because I'm always like a hot mess all the time, but we make it happen, right? We just do what we can because we're all human. We're not perfect. We're not robots. We're human. Things aren't always going to be, 100% great. It's like a roller coaster. Sometimes we're going up, sometimes we're going down, sometimes we're upside down. And so we have to be okay with ourselves, know our worth, and, have this book help them also, right? I even share five tips to boss up your confidence, right? So that they can walk away taking action in their own life. And so, yeah, I'm just really excited for this book because there's no book out there like it. Especially highlighting Asian women on a cover of a book. It's monumental, right? It took to 2021 for this to make it happen, but better late than never. And we all have to start somewhere.
That's so amazing, Sheena. For sure, we're all here for that purpose. Now, my chapter really dive into how I was the girl who always act tough. You can't have anybody else rely on but yourself. Now, my parents got divorced very early on. I'm the only girl. All my cousins are male. So I was in the positions always fighting against something and always feeling like I need to prove myself or something else out there. So that mentality of putting myself, getting all these degrees, getting into the position where everybody else felt like I made it. But guess what? I was working more than 80 hours a week, taking calls almost every night, going to the hospital additional on the weekends to make sure everything is taken care of. Until one day, I was waking up with a fever, still scrubbing in. And that day, I felt like I barely can just hold on. And when I truly had to convince myself that we cannot just do it anymore, our body is on strike. And I pick up the phone, finally called in sick. Then the end of the line, what I got was, Sabrina, you didn't tell us sooner? We can predict when I'm foreseeing roadblocks is going to happen in our life. And now we are all being just women in general tend to take on so much more, but we keep saying yeses, putting on extra weight on our shoulder for them to grab and rob our sanity, our time, and precious energy. So that's why I had to go back to my root and from my thesis, my research in neuroscience and public health, and come up with this 6-step system that no matter who you are as a woman, as an ambitious person, whether you're in the leadership position, especially in healthcare, or you want to break out from big organization, have a private practice of your own, stop thinking this is your baby, this is your passion, because passion shouldn't be turning into a poison. Passion should be understanding what you truly love and in the flow and something you're also really good at. That is our true desire zone. That's how we can also highlight and sustain the way that we live. And from the positive psychology side, remove those sabotaging tendency and knowing, as Vivian even pointed out, receiving. How can you pivot yourself from the stuck state of sabotaging tendency and going into those 5 stages of empowerment? So we wanted to receive empathy, receive the innovative power, and not just feeling like we have to constantly give. Because in medicine, we know 80% of us are all women. But guess what? Only 1 out of 6 leaders in C-level executive owners or dean the school are women. So how can we really truly step out and not feeling like we ought to be 1, 2, 3, but we're just ourselves and still be able to tap into our 10 different key components of our life? So we're not seeking what? Balance. It's too hard to achieve, but you can seek harmony and be able to show the quality of each part of your life. So my book chapter does share my steps for you to save some time and truly live up to the person, the desire, and highlight and sustain all your component of your life. Pass the mic on.
Wow, it's so interesting to hear all the ladies' stories. We all have different backgrounds and different learning experiences. So this is Amy Lin, and my chapter is about becoming the best version of yourself through personal development. So when we were talking about earlier, instead of trying to be other people, we should step in and become the best and highest version of us. And for me, what I went through was I started going to personal development events. I walked on fire. I swallowed fire. I jumped out from a 5-story building. I jumped out from an airplane. I went through all that. It was to test the limit of my own capabilities and to truly understand who I am. So what I've learned is that I am a spiritual being. I live in a physical body and I have a mind. So what that means is I'm an infinite being. Like anything is possible as long as we learn to let go of all the limiting beliefs that don't serve us and tap into who we truly are. And so it's to really accept you for who you are. And a lot of ladies mention about self-love, right? Self-love is not just doing pedicure, manicure, but it's to truly take care of yourself. Because when you truly take care of yourself, then you can go out and contribute for others. And another thing that I mentioned in the chapter is to how to quiet your fear and then tap into your intuition. Because when we're in the fearful state, our intuition, we're not able to tap in. And yet our intuition, our soul, can always tell us what's the right thing to do. So it's to really learn to stop looking at external things, but rather to go within and listen to yourself because the answer is within already. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Annie Haddock. So my chapter is about having a clear life vision. And then any of the decision that you have to make in life becomes very easy. So for example, like I said, when I was a little kid, I see education is very important for me to advance. And that's why I came to Canada for higher education. And then after I got married and have a son, and then I'd say, I don't really want that long commute and also being in a corporate job. That's not the lifestyle that I want. So I know clearly what the lifestyle I wanted. So then I started a home-based business in a small town, which I love the nature. And I say, I'm going to stay here, even though there's only a handful of Asian. It's all Caucasian around me. And it took me a year before my business took off. Because I formed my own business network. So I have a business networking group that's still running. It's now 23 years. So when the vision is clear, what the lifestyle that you want to live in, then every single decision is easy. And then I became single parent actually when my son was just 4 years old. And I decided, yes, I'm not moving back to the city. I'm going to continue that lifestyle that I choose to live. And then I get more involved in the community. Because to get other people's acceptance, you immerse into their community. Because if they don't know you, they cannot accept you. You know, so initially it was difficult because I was single parent. I didn't really have family that lived close by. So I was actually alone in the town and running my own home-based business. So it wasn't growing until my son in high school. Then I joined all the, because I have lots of interest, like in choirs and in Tai Chi and, lots of different activities. So I get involved and people start to know me. And then the business just flow, right? Because when everyone know your name and everyone knows you, and they know when anyone started new business in this small town of just 10,000 people, so they know, come to see Annie, right? So that's why, like now my son is already 26. He actually moved about 3 years ago. So that's what I was searching was the next phase of my life. So again, I have another vision of what my lifestyle is going to be. So it becomes really clear, easy decision. Actually, when I get involved in this Asian women who boss up, took me just a few minutes. When I heard the name and when I know what my vision is going global and also getting more immersed with the Asian market, that was easy decision. So I think my takeaway is like having a very clear life vision because you're not going to determine your life by your job. it's more the lifestyle, what you want to live in. And that's my takeaway. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie. This is Lucy Liu again. So in my chapter, I talked about some of my stories, how I grew up in China, immigrated to the US, and just how I became a coach. And what I really want to inspire the audience with my chapter is really about confidence. I talked about my name being my hindrance before, but really, once I took ownership of that name, it became who I am, and it became the reason I bossed up. And it's a constant reminder that that is the true version of me. That confidence version of Lucy Liu is who I really am. And for that reason, I kept it as my maiden name. So it is my maiden name. And even after I got married, I still kept this name because confidence is the most beautiful thing you can ever wear. And that's why I started my podcast, The Lucy Liu Show, is to shatter my own limiting beliefs. My English isn't good enough. I'm still going to talk because even if I just change the life of one listener, I have done a better, my part, my contribution to a better world. And I think that's what it's all about, that little flicker of hope that we can put out into the world to catapult into different movements. And this Boss Up series is definitely a movement on its own. And if we just keep it snowball, this world is going to be a better place. And I really want to inspire anyone who's reading or who's listening or watching that you are amazing. You're remarkable. Any circumstances in your life are neutral. Your reactions and your thoughts after will determine your entire life experience and the outcome of your life. So you have control and you are the CEO, because the CEO of a corporation sets the strategy and vision for a company. You get to set all the strategy and vision for your life. And we are all here as a collective, and we can do this. You can do this.
Thank you, Lucy, and all of you ladies for sharing a snippet of your stories. Just makes me even more excited about the book. This is Anita Chan again, and my chapter is about paving your own path and learning how to really use your network and ask for help, and then learning how to receive that help. My story starts off with being raised by a tiger mom who was a single parent as well, and her story of literally having to jump into an ocean to swim her way to freedom, escaping China and the revolution, and then coming into a foreign country to create her own life. And being an entrepreneur herself, she never wanted me to be an entrepreneur, never wanted me to have my own business, never thought that the beauty industry is a career. She thought that was just a passion. She said passion doesn't feed people. So what I had to do was really learn how to work towards my goal and dream against my own support system that you wish was there for you. But I know she loves me. It's just that I wanted to prove to her that I can make this happen. And so even when I went into college, I was lucky to know that I wanted to be in the beauty wellness industry at the age of 14. When I went into college, there was no major that fit what I wanted to study. So I created my own major in the university. So I talk about how I did that, and going into corporate world just to satisfy my tiger mom's desire for me to jump into corporate world. I knew I wasn't a corporate girl. So I decided to jump that corporate ladder and be my own boss. So that's really what my story is about, and really sharing the importance of knowing yourself, finding that beauty within yourself, that self-love, because once you get there, we can then serve. I think all of us have a purpose to serve, and that's what creates value for us. But we cannot create that value if we don't take care of the most important person, which is yourself. So I'm so excited to have this book come out and to share everybody's story, because as we heard even just within this last hour, everybody's story is so amazing and so much to learn from. So thank you, Dr. Tracy, for allowing us to share just a little snippet of what this book is about, and for the rest of the authors to come on and share their stories.
Wow. Thank you guys for accepting the invitation. So what I want to do now is quickly go around and tell us how they can get in touch with you and how to purchase the book.
So first of all, this book would not be happening if it wasn't for Tam Luck. And I'm sure we're all so grateful for her women international vision that brings all women of all races, of all backgrounds together to create these series of books. And our book, The Asian Women Who Boss Up, is going to be available on Tuesday, and that is the 23rd. I'm gonna look at my calendar on Amazon, and then the paperback will be coming out in March. And let's see, the link will be posted on all of our social medias, which we'll be getting to Tracy. And you're next, Vivian.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tracy. So, like Jehan said, the book will be available on Tuesday. And if you want to get in touch with me and you're having some weird overwhelm of any kind, you can go to overwhelm911.com, or you can email me at vivian@feelbetterrehab.com, and I'll pass it on to Kathy.
Thank you. I'm extremely excited to be on this book as well. So you all can find me on Instagram. It's Kathy Tran _, as well as Facebook and my website, which is kathytran.com. You'll be able to order a copy of the book there as well. Thank you. And I'll hand it over to Sheena.
Thanks, Kathy. So if anyone would like to order the ebook, you can check it out on Amazon. It'll be available there. But if you guys like the feeling of a physical book, a lot of people like that, you can pre-order a copy of the book on my websites, SheenaYapchan.com or thetowofselfconfidence.com. Actually, even if you just Google Sheena Yapchan, I'm the only Sheena Yapchan on the internet, so it's easy for me to find on the internet.
Thanks, everyone. This is Sabrina. For anyone who wanted to have a quick 2-minute reboot to bring back your focus and know how to increase your productivity by more than 30% within 60 days, you can hop on a free consultation with me at sabrinarumback.com/blueprint. Let's see how we can create that blueprint for you. For everyone who's interested in purchasing the ebook, we actually have all the proceeds donated to the Asian American Mental Health Initiative. I create a short link to the Amazon page. It's sabrinarumback.com/book. Just my full name, and my social media handle is also just my full name. I'm so excited for you guys to read about stories and also contribute to this awesome initiative as we launch the ebook on Tuesday. Again, sabrinarumback.com/book for that ebook.
Wow, this is really a collaboration. It's amazing. So be sure to follow all the ladies and order the book on Amazon. So I can be reached on Facebook or Instagram under The Opulent Academy.
Yes. For the ebook, go to Amazon. But if you wanted a printed copy, you can go to my website, anniesvoice.com, and I will even sign it for you. And also, if you are interested in connecting with me, just text education to the phone number 1-833-226-4549. Thank you.
Hello, if you enjoyed this, come say hello. I'm at LucyLouCoaching.com, and tune in to the Lucy Liu Show. I will also be interviewing many of the authors from this book, and you can learn more about their stories in detail. And the physical book will be available on LucyLouCoaching.com as well. Have a beautiful day.
Hi, this is Anita Chan again. I do want to mention that we are donating 100% of the proceeds on Amazon, the sales towards the National Association of Asian American Professionals in their mental health sector. So that would be great if you do your contribution there. And if you want to learn a little bit more about self-care and beauty tips, you can go onto Instagram at Anita B Spa. And my own personal Instagram is at Anita B Beauty, which I talk about business and just life hacks. And then the physical book is also available for pre-order on my website, AnitaBSpa.com. I will also be donating some of the proceeds there towards an organization working towards the anti-Asian Stop Asian Hate initiative as well. So thank you.
I'd like to add real quick, I never gave my information. I got so excited, and this is all brand new to me, speaking and this whole world. And so my personal information on Instagram, you can get a hold of me at Jahan, Jahan Integrates, Integrates, or on my clothing store website, closetsignature.com. And thank you so much again, Tracy, and for all of these Asian women who are continually showing me like how I can boss up too.
Yes, I was going to come back to you and say, hey, can you provide your information? Again, ladies, thank you for being on this show. And you guys purchased a book, Asian Women Boss Up, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to When They Hear Us, where Dr. Tracy Hines Lashley and her guests provide stories and experiences. This is also a platform for authors to encourage, empower, and equip people around the world with their voice. To learn more about Dr. Lashley and her quest to share the voice of powerful writers, go to her website at drtracylashley.info. You may also contact her by sending an email to info@drtracylashley.com. Remember to always intentionally walk in your purpose and strive to elevate to significance.